The data type of an array. What is an array? Well, all an array is a way of organizing information in an ordered list, a contiguous piece of memory. And all that word means, contiguous, is just that the memory's lined up side by side like that. So because it's lined up side by side, we can organize our data side by side. And so our items in our array, to access those items, we have to go through their index, their corresponding index. And the index, or the indices of an array, start at 0. It doesn't start at 1. You may have 10 items in your array, but it starts at 0. So you get 0 through 9, not 1 through 10. And so the basic syntax of an array is the array name followed by these square brackets and the index number, not the item number. So if we wanted to get item 4, this guy right here, item 4, we'd have to use index 0, 1, 2, 3. So we have to write something like that. Index 3 gives us item 4. Now, to create an array, there are two different ways. We can use the new keyword, or we can just instantiate the array right away. So let's create some dog names and some cat names. And so let's say const dog names is equal to new array, let's say 3 guys. And const cat names are equal to, and we'll instantiate, we'll create values right now. These values, these items, they can be anything. They can be numbers, they can be strings, they can be other arrays, they can be objects. So let's do strings, kit and cat. Kit and cat. Now when we take a look at the arrays we created, we get an empty of 3 and kit and cat. So pay attention to this, this empty of 3. All it did was reserve 3 spots for us right here. So there's no actual data in there yet. Cat names actually has data because we instantiated it right here. Kit and cat. Indices 0 and 1, not 1 and 0. Now, how do we add data to an array after we've already created the array? Well, there are 3 different ways I'm going to show you. There's the push, there's the unshift, and then there's the using array notation. And so we'll try the push first. Actually, we'll do the array notation first. So let's say we wanted to add an item after cat here. So index 0 and 1 are taken. Index 2 would be the next slot. So all we do is say cat names, index 2, and we'll name her Fury. And just like that, we've added an element or an item to our array. Now the next way is to push. Push does exactly what we just did there. It adds it to the end of the array. We could even do so the difference between push and using array notation is, let's say, so in our array here, we have 0, 1, and 2 taken. If we wanted the next one to be 3, but what if we did 4? What would happen? Let's see what happens when we do 4. So there is no 3. What happens here? Let's do weather. And now when we take a look at our cat names, what it did for us was it created the index 3, or the 4th slot for us, and it's empty. And then we got our 5th slot, or our 4th index, weather here. And so all push does is send the item to the end. So let's push the dog names. Let's go to dog names. So empty 3, let's say dog names dot push, and we'll name him Lap. Now what do we get with dog names? Now notice the empty 3, the 3 slots that we reserved, they don't get touched. It pushes to the end of those 3. And so we have 3 empties, and then it pushes to the end right there. Same thing with when we see coming up with the unshift function. So that's 3 different ways or I haven't explained it yet, unshift function. So let's get into that unshift function. So we'll unshift onto dog names. Unshift, and we'll go shifty. Shifty like this. We'll do like that, shifty. And now notice again, it doesn't take up the 3 that we reserved. It goes before and it goes after. If we wanted to access these 3, we'd have to use array notation. So let's take the first one of the empties. That would be index 1. So dog names, index 1, we'll call Sizzy. Sizzy like that. And now we accessed We accessed one of those empty slots, and we have 2 empty slots left. So that's how we add items to our arrays. We can do it at the end with push. We can do it at the beginning with unshift. Then we can do it in between with just regular array notation. Now, how do we remove items from our array? Well, the same thing. So we have 3 different methods. We can go from the end with pop. We can go from the beginning with shift instead of unshift. And in between, we can use a method called splice. And so let's see what data we're working with now. We have dog names and we have cat names. 5 and 5, 2 empties and 1 empty. So let's take off lap from the dog names. And so the pop method returns the item you popped off. So we can hold that somewhere if you needed to. Let's say popped is equal to dog names.pop. And now when we check popped holds lap, but lap is no longer in our dog name down here. All we have is the shifty, the sizzy, and the 2 empties. Now let's take shifty off with shift. So dog names, again, this function returns the thing that you popped off, or you shifted off this in this case. So let's hold it here with shifted. Now shifted has the value shifty, and dog names just has sizzy and the 2 empty slots. Now the splice method. Splice allows us to go in between. So let's say we wanted to remove that empty guy. Splice takes 2 arguments. The first one is the index to start deleting at. So kit would be 0, cat would be 1, fairy would be 2, empty would be 3. So start at 3, and then the second argument is how many to delete from there, including the one you're on. So if we just wanted empty, we're going to delete 1. If we wanted to delete empty and weather, we'd say 2. But let's just delete empty. So we have to do a splice first. Splice, and it was 0, 1, 2, 3, and then 1. And now when we look at cat names, we see that the empty element or empty item is gone, and all we have is kit, cat, fairy, and weather. And so that's how you delete items from your array, from the beginning, from the end, and from the middle. Now, how do we loop through an array? Well, there are many ways to loop through an array. We're just going to look at 2 here. So we're going to look at a modified version of a for loop, and then we're going to look at the for each loop. So traditionally what we did when we looped through arrays, we do something like let I is equal to 0, I is less than the length of your array, and then we do something like I++, and then we'd use the I in the as the index, accessing the index here. So we can do something like console.log. I'm just going to log all the cat names like that. Kit, cat, fairy, and weather. Now that's a lot of writing. What we can do is just do a for, say name of the array name, and now that name takes on, it's looping through. It's like the I. So it's looping through your cat names and it's taking the value of each index. So we can say the same thing, console.log, and we can just say name here. We get the same effect here with less code. Now be careful with the of. If you do in, you get the index. You don't get the value. If I did that, I'd get 0, 1, 2, 3. Kit, cat, fairy, weather, 0, 1, 2, 3. The of returns the value. The in returns the index. Just like that. Now the second way to loop is to just use a good old-fashioned for each loop. So let's loop through cat names. We'll do for each name. And again, we'll just console log it. Console.log, that name. And there we go. And kit, cat, fairy, and weather. So it's only 2 ways to, there are many ways. There's only 2 ways to loop through an array. And so that's going to be it for this video. I just want to make a quick video on arrays, how to create arrays. We can do the new keyword, or we can instantiate it right away with some values. These values can be strings, they can be numbers, they can be functions, they can be other arrays, they can be objects. And we can add objects to, or items, to already made arrays using push, using unshift, and then just using regular old-fashioned array notation. We can take items off using pop, using shift, and using splice. Now quickly, if you what happens if you use array notation to try and take off an element? Let's try and take off kit. So that's index 1. So cat names index 0. It's equal to blank. All we do is just overwrite the name. So now it doesn't take away that space, it just makes it an empty string. Even if we did something like this right here, and cat names, it still wouldn't take it away. It's now an actual data type null. The only way to take it away for this video is to shift it. And there we go, now it's taken away. And then of course we saw how to loop through an array with this guy here, for name of cat names, not in. In gives you the index, of gives you the names, and then we have the for each loop. This guy right here, cat names for each. Same behavior. And so, like always, if you see any value in this, don't forget to leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, thumbs up, whichever platform you're watching this one on. And I will see you guys in the next video.